Well, you say Jubilee, I say how high. As Jubilee always provides quality content, they are discussing ladies, modern ladies, and this chap here in the middle who's debating a bunch of other chaps. And the current topic is a woman's body count does not matter. For the people that are slightly older, the body count is how many males she has enjoyed quality time with. Okay, so let's listen.
How you doing, man?
Jamari.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man. Okay, so a woman's body count does not matter. If we both go to a used car lot, one car is totaled, one car has the engine blown out twice, head gasket never works, always has to be replaced. Another car has a fender bender. Which one are you taking?
I reject the analogy because
Why?
it presupposes that there's something about sex that is destructive to a body. I actually think a better version of that analogy is if you just bought the first car you ever test drove, how likely are you going to be satisfied with that car versus if you go out and test drive 5, 6, 7 cars, get an understanding of their features, what you like about them, what you don't like, then you're able to make a much better informed decision.
So again,
Pause. Okay, so we're playing with vehicle analogies. There is a problem here, which is both are right. So, technically, that should not be possible, right? One is claiming it is universally preferable to have a car that's new, and one is claiming that it's universally preferable to have a car that you have looked into, that you have understood. Now, I tend to be quite aligned with the fellas in general, but here I will offer a bit of a more nuanced read. Somewhat unpopularly, certainly within my circles, I am not a believer in virginity until eternal commitment. And the reason why I'm not a believer in that is because it is too possible to mess up. Let me explain. I have had 1, 2, 3, 4 serious relationships in my life. And one was a one-night stand, so I'm not quite counting it, but let's put it in the mix just... Oh, I forgot one. Darn it. It's 5 or 6. Of these, the body count would therefore amount to 1. That would be the wife. Then before the wife, another one. And then the one-night stand. And then yet another one. So the total would be 4. So my body count is 4. Okay? Now, the problem with the method of getting a brand spanking new car is that there's lots of things you don't know. You don't know things about yourself, and you don't know things about cars as a general thing, as well as that specific car. So, if one takes the, let's call it traditional, just for lack of a better word, very, very, very slow system of meet the girl, be platonic fully, declare an intent to get together, engage, still remain platonic but engaged, or semi-platonic, then proceed to the marriage ceremony, then consummate. This will work for some people, 100%. However, in my personal experience, and it's personal, so it's very few data points, but it is, what I discovered is that whenever you get together with a woman, even with the best intentions, the infatuation period clouds your mind. And it clouds hers, in every sense. It changes the way these two individuals behave. Then, when things become a little bit more routine, a little bit more standard, different dynamics appear. Those dynamics could well be deal breakers within a relationship. Now, when a man is with a woman in a relatively permanent fashion, the sexual, the intercourse aspect of the relationship is intrinsically part of said relationship. And it is definitely the case that every single car on both sides is in fact different. And different does imply levels of incompatibility between individuals. The simplest possible example would be a male whose organ is too large for the female. Therefore, artificial lubrication is necessary, etc. That will be required for the rest of your life, if one were to do it with a brand spanking new car. So there is that. Okay? Now, with that said, a brand spanking new car is more desirable than a car that has 200,000 miles on it. And the reason why that is because a car that has 200,000 miles on it is indeed more worn out. The argument that, the pseudo-argument, the declaration that the Jubilee chap makes, which is it has no destructive effect on the body. I mean, the adjective destructive is a bit silly. It has an effect on the body. For example, a pregnancy has an effect on the body. That is a fact. I don't care who says to the contrary, etc. It is possible to reverse some of that, like ab separation and so on, with surgery, with effort, etc., etc. At that point, you're ridiculously vain. Right? Once you're a mother, you're no longer not a mother. Okay? But anyway, don't want to go too far down other weeds. So he rejects the analogy, he says, but he can't, because there is a level of wear and tear on everything. Okay? On top of it, there's another aspect as well. A high level of promiscuity indicates a very, very poor capability of judgment and a lack of interest in loyalty. Okay? So, what is actually, in my personal opinion, the correct way to go about this? Here's the correct way to go about this. The first step is to express a very strong interest in the car. It's to study the car a little bit and understand the car. Maybe you're not going to test drive it, but what you can do is you can sit in it, you can take a look, you can observe the instruments, understand how it behaves in various ways, and so on and so forth. Give it a little bit of time, right? Before you decide to commit to the car. Now, when you decide to commit to the car, which should be immediately, it should be before taking a ride in the car. Very important. Okay? You should say, I want this car. I want this car for myself and myself only, and I will not drive any other car. This is the car I will drive. Okay? Now, this is a statement of intent. It does not mean that this is how things will go. Because eventually, it could occur that the car changes, or that the car, or that your idea of what the car was changes, or that you find deal breakers within the car that you weren't aware of before. Not only because, not so much, the only scenario isn't that the car has suddenly manifested those faults. It's possible. But it's also possible that all of a sudden you realize the things that you didn't see as faults before actually are faults from your perspective. I'll give you an example. Girlfriend demands that you text her all the time. Okay? These constant proofs of loyalty that you need to deliver. That is really grating. I can't stand that. But I had to learn that from my second girlfriend. Right? So I was with this woman for 2 years, possibly 3, I can't remember, because when you're young, time passes very differently than how it does now, or at least that's how it feels. But 2 years, let's say, just for simplicity's sake. In these 2 years, I learned that there's no way will I ever ever drive a car that nags me in that way again. Does that make sense? So then, any other car I would decide to test drive and own with the intent of owning it forever. Okay. Will I accept a nagging behavior? If I spot the nagging behavior, I'm out. You could argue nagging behavior equals rust. It's the same thing. Does I tried having a vehicle with rust. It grinds my gears. I can't stand it, right? I do not want this in my life. I have now learned this. No bloody way am I going to drive a car that has rust. Period. But you see, the purest argument, the declaration on the side of this other chap, the one that we're seeing on the right, would be blindsided by this problem. He would take the car, not notice the rust. The rust comes out for whatever reason, and his life becomes miserable. Okay? And he would have been able to avoid this hell and a divorce if he had in fact learned to accept, or to deal with, or to avoid what I believe nowadays are referred to as red flags. Okay? So, let us try and summarize this still using the same analogy. Okay? On one side, there is the argument a man and a woman ought to test drive everything they see. Absolute test drive everything. Golf cart, Boeing 747, test drive everything. That's insane. That does not make any sense at all. It does not lead to any degree of a meaningful union. It's an impossible technique that won't lead to marriage, won't lead to family, will not lead to meaning. That is certain. On the other side, you've got the argument, nothing must ever be test driven. The test drive is the drive and the one drive forever. On both sides. Silly as well. I mean, that's not really what the chap said, but let's take the extreme opposite. Silly as well. Why? You will not know what works and what doesn't. Okay? Everybody knows that Mercedes and BMW are cool cars. Ta-ta-ta. They're not, though. They will bankrupt you in maintenance. Vice versa. Everybody knows that Lotus is lots of trouble, usually serious. Unless you have a Lotus Elise. And then she is the most she's the most reliable car you've ever owned. And she will never let you down. She always makes you smile. And she's a little bit wild sometimes as well. She that backside of hers loves to step out. Particularly in the wet. She does not like to be wet. She's a bit of a cat. But how do I know that? Well, I know because I've done my research. I've looked at that Lotus and I said, that is beautiful. And then I've looked inside and I said, it has no screens. I like that. It has no technology. It's got ABS, sort of. And it's got air conditioning, but who cares? I don't have the roof. So she has no roof. She's wild. I like that. You know? Mine, she's yellow. Brilliant. That's how it should be. And I said, but I know a fair few things about cars. What lump does she have? What lump does she have in the back? She has the Toyota one, the one with the VVTi. Oh, very good. Okay, we like that. Toyota's quite reliable. What are the problems? Did my research, etc. Did the test drive. Bought her. Never sold her. She's with me. Understand? But I had to see the Mercedes and the BMWs and see, oh, these cars are a pain in the backside, I want nothing to do with them. And I have a very meaningful connection to my Lotus. Does that make sense? Good. The alternative solution is test drive with the intent of commitment. You do that, it's going to naturally keep your body count low. The people you're with are going to have a low body count thanks to your attitude. And you are likelier, in my personal opinion, to land a happy, successful marriage than not test driving everything or test driving everything. Excuse me, not test driving anything or test driving everything. So, there is my prescription. Good night.